Hello and welcome to Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames, a hockey podcast. We're talking playoff hockey, not real life, fantasy playoffs starting this week for a lot of people. So we're going to go over that. We're going to talk about, who are some guys you could possibly pick up off the waiver wire to kind of get you onto that second round. And of course, we're going to talk gambling. A lot of games going. We're on early tonight, so we have a ton of action. So if you're ready, get set because we're going to put in bets right away. We're going to give you our favorite plays of the night. Stick with us here on Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames. I'm your host, Justin Taylor, JT at JT Orange on the X Twitter machine. Co-host Toast Clark, you can get him at Toast Clark, and Aaron Tometich, Titch4141. Check all of us out. Let's get right into it, fellas. Let's get into the game.
Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
So, guys, since we're starting off an early show tonight, things kind of got to rearrange here. Spring break for a lot of us with the kids on spring break. St. Patty's Day yesterday, kind of moved some things around. Going early tonight, stick around here on Fantasy and Frames later tonight. We're going to have some fantasy women's drafts. So check that out. Stacey Perez will be having that here on Fantasy and Frames later tonight. So make sure to tune into that later this evening. But since we're here early tonight, fellas, a lot of games up and coming tonight. Let's get off on some of our personal bets. What are we going to do right away? Let's talk about them. So in case people want to get those bets in right away, let's get those out of the way. Then we'll discuss a little bit of why we like these bets. Toast, you kick us off with kind of one or two of your big bets that you're going to get in here right away. And then we can kind of talk about some of these other ones going through.
Yeah, JT, tonight, instead of really kind of sprinkling here and there, I decided to go ahead and go heavy on one bet. We like a ton. We're going to go over that, like you said, and we're going to go over every single game tonight and actually talk about every game from not only like an over-unders perspective, money line, puck line, but also some player props as well. So, my Toast Takes parlay of the day, it comes in at minus 103. So you're basically getting even money. And it is a 3-leg parlay and is a shots parlay. Now, I remember everybody knows, hey, I usually don't like playing shots parlay, but I don't mind playing shots when you're actually combining 3 players to actually get a very minimal amount of shots that have actually been hot and are actually in good spots. All right. So that's what I've done. Tonight, I am actually choosing Mika Zibanejad for the New York Rangers to get 2 shots on goal. He has cleared this in 9 out of his last 10. And Dylan Guenther for the Utah. Let's just call him the Yeti, JT. All right, let's just call him the Yeti. I don't care. They're the Yeti.
I'm still pushing for the Yeti. Something's got to get done to this. It still should be the Yeti.
Absolutely. And he has cleared 2 shots on goal for him tonight. He has cleared that 10 out of his last 10 games. And Bo Horvat. And for New York Islanders. And, man, I really like the Islanders matchup tonight going into Pittsburgh, who gives up a ton of shots. And we'll talk more about that game because I think it's an interesting game to play. And Horvat is actually really, if you think about it, man, he's one of their very few offensive, I guess, producers here, really. If you look at that team, they just don't really have a whole lot. Horvat, 2 shots on goal. And he's actually cleared us 9 out of the last 10 times. So if you actually combine their last 30 games combined, they've actually hit this 28 out of the last 30 times. Last time I did that math, I think it's around 95%. So I'm actually feeling pretty good about that. It's a minus 103.
Nice. I like that one. I've got I'm going to go a straight games bet. So staying away from the props just for my JT parlay play of the day. Getting some good odds on this one. So right now I'm going to go Utah Oilers over 6.5. Right now you're getting plus 100 on that. So over 6.5 goals. I think there's going to be a lot of goals piled in that game. I'm going Jets money line against the Canucks. We'll tell you why later, as they've kind of owned the Canucks lately. So I'm going Jets money line minus 166. I'm going under in the Flames Rangers game. They've played each other pretty tight this year. All those games have been close. So I'm going under 5.5 on that one. And then the Stars have actually lost twice to Anaheim this year. I think they finally pull one out. It's like minus 360 right now, money line. But if you take the minus 1.5 on the puck line, you can get it at minus 130. Throw those all together, it's plus 1,062. I actually got a 50% boost on a 4-pick parlay on DraftKings. So I was able to notch that thing up to 1,594. So 1,594 on that one. So a nice little one there. A $10 bet wins you, $150. If you want to pop that thing up to about $25-30, you're looking at about $500 payout there. So that's real nice there. So that's what I've got. Utah, Edmonton over 6.5 total goals. Jets money line under 5.5 goals in the Flames Rangers game. And I've got the Dallas Stars against Anaheim. I'm taking the puck line minus 1.5, that 4-pick parlay at plus 1,594 with the boost at DraftKings. If you don't have a boost, you can still get that at plus 1,062 currently at DraftKings. So, Toast, we got those early ones in. Now, let's go back here and give the people why we like these bets. Let's dive into a little bit of these games. A bunch of games starting here in about 20 to 30 minutes. So let's jump in there and kind of talk. Let's start breaking down things tonight and see what we like and why we like some of these bets and maybe some other things in case people want to throw something in. We want to say thanks to Jamie jumping in. He says it's hockey time. Yep, we're ready to roll here on Around the Ice. Toast, let's go over some of these games tonight here in our Around the Ice.
The good old hockey game is the best game you can name, and the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
All right, Toast, let's break it down. You jump in here and start us off going around the ice and talking about all the games tonight and why we like some of these bets that we're placing tonight.
Well, I think there's a couple games tonight that are super intriguing and actually super, super important as well. I think the biggest one for me tonight is that Ottawa Senators at Montreal Canadiens. And if you look at the standings, Ottawa's actually looking pretty good. I think they got 77 points on the season. I was looking at that earlier. Montreal's at 71. They're both just right there. Ottawa's seeming pretty comfortable. Montreal is actually in the mix there. And I just think this is going to play like a playoff game tonight, man. It could be low scoring. You got Olmark actually going for Ottawa. He's had spurts, man, where he's been really, really good all year. And then Sam Montembeault as well. I don't think Montembeault actually gets enough credit, quite frankly. He's ended up turning into a really, really good goalie, and he's a big reason why Montreal's actually went 7-1-2 in her last 10 games as well. And what you know, Ottawa, a 6-game win streak right now. So I like this game, and you would actually have to think that, well, Ottawa shoots the puck a ton. Montreal actually gives up the 10th most shots in the league as well. You'd have to think that there's going to be, and with Ottawa being the road team, you got to think it's a pretty high-scoring game. But I just don't know. I got a gut feeling that it's actually not going to play that way, that you're probably going to actually have more of a 3-2 game, maybe a 2-2 actually going into overtime, a 3-2 win. I like the under. I like the under on this a lot. A couple of props that I like as well. Of course, you got to look at Brady Tkachuk and shots on goal. I know he actually laid a dud last game. I think he only had 1, but man, it doesn't really matter with him. He could just come up and have 5 in the first period. You know how he goes. Again, Montreal giving up the 10th most shots in the league. Tkachuk is one of the hottest. He shoots the most out of maybe the top 5 or 6 guys in the entire league as well on shots on goal. So I like Brady Tkachuk. JT, I haven't looked at it, but I'm guessing you could probably get plus 4.5 or over 4.5 shots on goal, probably at plus 120, 125, 130. I'm guessing. I don't know. Somewhere around there. Last thing, if you actually play blocks and you can actually get blocks, I think you can get blocks on FanDuel. I'm not sure you can actually do it on DraftKings, but David Savard actually for Montreal. Man, if you look at his last 10 games blocking the puck, 3, 4, 2. Then he had a 1, 7. He had a 1, 3, 4, 3. So 8 out of his last 10 games, he's been 2 blocks or more. You could probably get David Savard over 1.5 blocks at probably like minus 115. It'd be a nice little parlay if you could actually find something else to go with it. So I like this Ottawa Senators Montreal game, and I think it will be the best game of the night with the most riding on it.
Yeah, I agree
Toast
with
right now. You can get Brady Tkachuk 4+ shots at -105 currently on FanDuel. So -105 for 4. If you kick it up to 5, it becomes +210. So if you think he's going to absolutely shoot the shit out of the puck, +210 at 5, -105 at 4+. If you put in a parlay at 3+, it's -260 currently.
I like that a lot. I agree with you, Toast. I think it's a playoff type game, and if you don't want to pick a winner, it could be one of those games you may want to look at a regulation tie, and those come in usually 290, 300, 310. It may be a time to do that because these teams are going to button down. These are two very important points to both teams, a little more so for Montreal, but my God, both of them coming in on a heater, 7-1-1, 7-2, 7-2. It just, hot teams. I can't wait. This will be, for me, it'll be the game of the night. For a couple more player props, I like the assist with Lane Hudson. The dude just feeds the puck. He's made some sick passes this year. Looks to be the favorite for the Calder. And then Stützle, he's feeding over to Brady. He's on a heater too with the assist. So if you like those props, I'd look at those two guys as well.
So we talked about, I added in my bets here earlier, Calgary at the New York Rangers, Calgary 30-25-11, Rangers 33-29-6. Both these teams been right around 500 the last 10. Neither one have been on a super hot streak, but 4 games in a row have gone under the 5.5 total. That's why I jumped on it, even though right now you can get 5.5 at +100. The over is actually -120, so bettors are leaning a little towards the over, but I'd like the odds of last 4 in a row have been under 5.5. Calgary won 7 of the last 10. If you're looking just to go straight game, you don't want to go over on goals, maybe you just want to take Calgary straight up. Right now, Calgary's won 4, like I said, 7 in the last 10. Calgary right now is a +210 on the road.
Yeah, you would think this game's got to mean a lot to Calgary. And I really haven't checked the standings as far as Calgary goes, but I'm not sure if they're within reach. I mean, they may not be dead yet in a really stacked West. But I haven't done a whole lot of research on your name from now on will be known as Dan Vladar. I always think every time I hear Vladar, I always think of Vader. I just think of Darth Vader. But this, hey, I check it out. Vladar right now, 893 save percentage, 8-11-6, not very good at all. We know actually Shesterkin's actually had some of his ups and downs, that whole team. I mean, he's 23-23-4 with a 907. His save percentage is pretty good regardless. But so on paper, this thing would be primed to go over the 5.5 total goals, but that's not the way it's actually went, right? So you expect this to be a low-scoring game. Like I said before, Mika Zibanejad, he's been shooting a lot. The Rangers shoot the 7th most in the NHL. Calgary gives us the 10th most shots in the NHL as well. And you got to look out for Jonathan Huberdeau. You could probably get him at over +300, +320 for an anytime goal. He scored 3 of them in his last 3 games.
Yeah, Toast, if you're looking at the standings going this one, a big one for both these teams. Rangers right now are the second wild card in the East with 72 points. They're 1 point ahead of Montreal and 2 points ahead of Detroit and Columbus. So it's a big one for them. On the other side in the West, Calgary right now sitting at 71 points. They're 2 points behind Vancouver and St. Louis for the last wild card in the West. So both these teams, this is a big, big game. That's kind of why I like the under. I feel like both teams are going to lock it up defensively, looking for the goaltenders to play pretty well in this one to be a close one. So going to be interesting, but yeah, a big one for both these teams for sure. Next one on the list, Islanders at the Penguins. 2 teams have been struggling of late. Pittsburgh they would have to go on a crazy run to get back in the mix as they're sitting in 8 out of 10 teams there in the East. On the other side for the Islanders, again, they're right next to Pittsburgh in the standings, 68 and 66 points. Both teams really would have to turn it up here and get a winning run. Now, the Islanders were able to do it last year, Toast, as they got hot on the stretch. I'm not sure if either one of them have got it in them this time. What do you think about this game?
Well, Aaron, you go ahead if you got something, and I'll support you on this one here, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if you do. I think this game's going to be a big snooze fest. With all the games, with the lineups that we've got tonight, I may not flip once to this game. Really, unless there's a betting line. Well, and you guys both touched on it, both in your points. I mean, Pittsburgh just doesn't block shots. There's going to be a ton of shots on this. Yeah, unless I have some sort of betting angle, which maybe that could be the case with the Bo Horvat with the shots on net. I mean, that would be a reason to maybe tune in. But even then, I'd rather just look at the stat sheet on this. But yeah, talk about two underwhelming seasons. Pittsburgh. What are they going to do? They're going to. It's funny, Kyle Dubas. What did he really do? What has he really accomplished as a GM? He did his thing in Toronto. He was out. Comes over to Pittsburgh. Makes some questionable moves. I'd like to see like a guy like Rucker McGrody maybe come in. What do we got there? What do we got in the farm system? But just nothing but boring hockey. And I think that you could say that probably the same with the Islanders. Other than a few names, few flash in the pan, watch Patty Waugh get red face. But outside of that, I think I'm going to skip it. So yeah, unless there's a couple of parlay, or I'm sorry, like player parlays that you want to throw together, shots on goal or something like that, or your anytime goal score or something. Other than that, skip it. Don't even bother. You got the Ottawa Canadiens game ready to kick off. Just focus on that game.
Yeah, the only reason you'd actually watch this game would be from a gambling perspective.
Absolutely.
I mean, other than that, it holds no bearings. These teams aren't going anywhere, either one of them.
They stink.
And honestly, I don't really see their futures going anywhere. Islanders again. They don't want to admit. They don't want to actually even just break down and do the rebuild. Of course, Pittsburgh's kind of in the same boat there as well. But I'm going to read out some numbers here, and I know we're kind of in rapid fire mode, and we'll continue to do that. But I want to read these real quick. Here's the last 13 games with Islanders and Pittsburgh, and I'm just going to read the totals, starting back at the 13th game and working towards present. 9, 9, 6, 9, 6, 7, 7, 4. 9, 9, 7, 9, 5. So if you add all those up, 11 out of the last 13 times they went to the over. And when they went to the over, it goes over. I mean, big time. So Pittsburgh, they give up so many shots. I know the Islanders aren't great defensively either. You could see this being a super high-scoring game. The only thing that worries you a little bit is the fact that Tristan Jarry is on a heater right now. Man, the guy actually goes down there. I think he's been in the AHL for a long-ass time this year, maybe all year. And now they actually call him back up. And wouldn't you know, Pittsburgh's actually – I don't know if he started all these games, but Pittsburgh's won 4 in a row. And they actually look like a hockey team again. And Jarry's actually playing pretty good. So you may want to go the Jarry. If you can find him at maybe like 20 over 25 or over 26.5 saves, maybe jump on that, right? Because Pittsburgh's going to give up a lot of shots, and Jarry's been really, really good of late. So that may even be a better play than the over. But I think there's going to be some scoring, and I think there's going to be a lot of shots here as well.
Yeah, jumping into the next game, my Detroit Red Wings, ever since I went to the stadium game against the Blue Jackets, they have been awful. Tough loss in that one. They are 3-7 in their last 10, just falling apart. I'm just having, PTSD from last season when they fell apart right at the end of the year to miss the playoffs. It's not looking pretty right now. Now they've got to go to the East leading Capitals, 44-15-8. Red Wings just over that 500 mark right now at 32-29-6. As like I said, they just got a 3-0 win over Vegas to kind of get off the snide. As like I said, they were 2-7 in their last 10 before that one. They're currently sitting 4th in the wild card in the East with 70 points, tied with Columbus, 1 point behind Montreal, 2 points behind the Rangers. Ottawa currently, as they're on fire, they've won 6 in a row. They're 7 points ahead of that. So Red Wings got to turn something up quickly if they're going to do something here. This is usually not the spot to do it against the Capitals, who have been fantastic this year as they continue to roll. Toast, if it was me, There's some player props, and probably the only things I like is, I tell you what, Kaner has been hot for the Red Wings lately. He's been their best player in this terrible stretch.
Yeah, he's been shooting the puck like crazy. Checked today, and Kane's not a guy of late here in his last few years, anyways. That's going to shoot. But he's actually been the hottest shooter on the Red Wings. I think in the last 10 games, if I remember right, he's only actually had one shot only once in the last 10 games. He's either had 2, 3, 4, 5, and beyond. All of those are 9. So I really like Patrick Kane for shots on goal tonight as well. I mean, for a point too, but I tell you what, he's not the one I actually like best. Here's what I like best, JT. If you really, really want to take a swing and actually just sprinkle a few dollars, put a 10 spot out there on this right here. Tom Wilson has 8 assists in his last 7 games. And he actually is coming off where he's actually out of those. He's had an assist. He's had 2 or more assists and 2 of his last 3 as well. You can get Tom Wilson 2 assists tonight for plus 700. And I mean, he's playing on the top line with Ovechkin and Strome. He's on a power play 1 as well. And you got to wonder, is Peter Mrazek any good? Right? I mean, and now he overachieved for the Hawks. And he was actually really, really good, but I don't think he's been great since he actually was dealt over to Detroit. He's maybe had a start or 2. I could see the Capitals actually maybe putting it to Detroit tonight, even though this is a really important game. But like you said, they're sliding big time. Tom Wilson, 2 assists, plus 700. If you want to go ahead and just kind of go big and sprinkle on that.
I like that. That's nice. Aaron, how about you? What do you think? Your Washington team, man, they're every time we think like, they're going to come back to earth. Nah, they just keep playing freaking great hockey.
It's great. It's great. I think Protas, Lexi Protas, obviously a big part of that. He's 1 goal away from 30. That would be fun to, maybe put a little bit on that. Obviously you have the staple, the Ovi chase, never hurts. Not getting great odds on that, but maybe put an Ovi anytime goal. Although he did give up the puck in the open net. I think it was somebody were they finishing off a hat trick or so. I don't remember the circumstance, but had a wide open net and he passed it off. So just great team atmosphere again. We've talked about this team pretty much all year long about how they're exceeding expectation. They continue to do so. So for me, I'm going with the staples. I'm going with an Ovi anytime goal. And then what you said, Toast, there about Kane. Kane looks like the MVP Kane, man. Where's this guy been? He's out there showtime. He's all over the ice. Detroit's looked abysmal, JT, since that outdoor game, but they did look really good against Minnesota. And that was the one start that Mrazek's had where he looked good in that start too. So, and that was just this past weekend. So maybe they can build a little bit of minimum and keep it close. So again, I'm going player prop all day on this. I take Patty Kane with a point and either Protas or Ovi with an anytime goal.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thing there.
5 goals in his last 10. I think that's right. Isn't that right, Toast? 5 goals in the last 10 games for Ovi.
Yeah, and I believe he's just a handful away. I think maybe 7 or 8 away. I need that to hit again for a nice payout there. That was
Me too.
Yeah. But Aaron brought up a good Alexi Protas, 8 points in his last 5 games, and you can actually still get him at plus 120 to score a point. He's getting line 2 deployment as well. He's going to play with Connor McMichael and Pierre-Luc Dubois as well. So the deployments there, that's a really, really good price for a guy who's actually scored 8 and 5 and has got good deployment like him.
I like it.
If you think that Ovi can get an empty netter to finish things off tonight, you can get Ovi as the last goal scorer at plus 700 right now.
Yeah,
so if you think they get up and maybe he gets an empty netter at the end to finish off the game, you can get him at plus 700 to be the last scorer. Currently, he's plus 900 to be the first scorer, and he's plus 110 for an anytime goal.
I like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and you got to think
nice little interesting thing on him on the last score with these empty netters he's been able to get sometimes.
Yeah, and you got to think if that thing's an empty netter, that means it's a close game. If it's a close game, I don't see it being a low-scoring close game, which then you'd go ahead and put the Patrick Kane shots on goal prop on there as well, and also the Tom Wilson assist on there as well. I mean, so if you think it's going to be the empty netter, you got to be thinking it's a little bit of higher scoring. At least 2-2 or 3-3, actually going 5 to 7 goals or whatnot. So you might as well go ahead and pad it a little bit. I would. So odds are if he's going to get the empty netter, it's going to be with some other props that are already there.
Next game we got on the docket, St. Louis Blues against the Nashville Predators. Predators have completely fallen apart. The Blues, somehow, some way, are trying to keep themselves in this thing, 7-2-1 in their last 10. What do we got on this game as they're going to Nashville? Hofer versus Soros tonight in the goal.
Aaron, how much do you hate the Blues?
Oh, on what scale? Because I'll add 3 to it. I just hate them so much. And here we go again. They're hanging around. I was listening to another pod earlier today, and they were talking about how the similarities are between when they won the Cup in 19 and this time where they go on this heater again, 7-2-1 on a 2-game winning streak. Jordan Binnington, the hero of Canada, stands on his head, beats the USA, and now nobody can score on the guy. So it's got my hate at an all-time high. It's good to keep the blood, the blood flowing. Again, the Hawks and their irrelevancy. You don't get too worked up about the game. Yes, we had 4 nations, but now it's just all Blues hate. But the Preds aren't the team to do it. They're going to get rolled. I like the 3-way on this Blues. So the 3-way bet, for those unfamiliar with hockey betting, a 3-way is regulation win for the team that you pick, slightly better odds than if you just take the straight up money line, or you don't have to worry about the close games with the puck line. But if you think that the team will win, the 3-way is the way to go. So I like that as far as bets go. But I can't bring myself to endorse any of the players on the Blues because I can't stand them. And Nashville has embarrassed everybody, including themselves. So I'm not going to throw any of their names in because I don't like them either. So, yeah, let's just root for injuries.
Well,
that's about it.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you have one good thing actually going for you in this matchup. If you're a gambling guy and you're not a Blues fan, of course, 11 out of the last 12 have actually gone to the over 6.5 totals.
Oh, wow.
I went in there and actually watching that, huge totals as well. I mean, way over. If you'd actually add these all up in the last 12 games, I guarantee you that they're closer to 7.7, 7.8 total goals average a game. I mean, they just murder one another. Hofer, I don't know. Let's just say he's not as good as Bennington. And Saros, he struggled. He struggled mightily. The whole team has as well this year. So definitely like the over on this one. And if you really want to, find a place where you can actually tease it down to 5.5 and actually then put it with something else and get it close to even money, that would be a really, really good play as well if you're a little nervous about it.
Tell us, what about Anaheim Ducks, Dallas Stars? This one's been an interesting thing, as Anaheim's actually won both matchups with Dallas. I'm going against it. I told you I put the Dallas Stars -1.5 puck line in my JT Parlay play of the day. I think it's due that they get one. Before the 2 losses this year, Anaheim had lost 11 of 12 to the Stars. I think the Stars get one tonight. They've lost a couple in a row, but I think they're going to get right back on track here against Anaheim. Do we like any bets here? Do we like any personal player props outside of me taking Dallas at the -1.5 puck line?
Mikko Rantanen shots would be fine. If you wanted to get him at 3, you can probably get him at 3, like at -120. But I want to talk about Rantanen just for a second. Isn't it interesting? And I'm not saying Rantanen's a bad apple. I don't think that anybody said he's a bad apple by any means at all. He never wanted to be traded from Colorado. He was actually vying there for, I think, an 8-year deal worth like maybe high 12s, somewhere around the 13 range, somewhere kind of what Nathan McKinnon's actually getting, so to speak. And then he gets traded over to Carolina. I know we've actually beat this dead horse already, but since Carolina dealt him, I don't know exactly how the games line up, but let's just say Carolina's won 7 in a row. Carolina's won 7 in a row, and Rantanen is actually coming to Dallas, and Dallas has actually looked pretty good with him, and what a potent offense and everything. But I just it's interesting how you would think that Carolina, after what played out for them, I know they end up coming out smelling pretty good with this, with basically giving up Martin Necas, who's like just amazing. Mm-hmm. But they end up getting Logan Stankoven and 2 first-rounders. In the end, that's what happened to them. But you would think the way they actually dealt for Ranton and gave up Natchez, and then to only actually have him taken away and not be able to actually re-sign him to the long-term deal just mere, what, I don't know, 6-7 games later would be demoralizing to him. You think they just actually just would have fell off a cliff, but here they are, 7 in a row for Carolina. So just found it interesting. But I definitely like the Stars tonight, -1.5. I think they're going to take it to the Ducks.
Yeah. And this weekend, this past weekend, excuse me, we got what looks to be a little taste of the first round with Colorado and Dallas going head to head. That was a playoff game.
Wow.
That ended up going over. It was overtime, went to overtime. Dallas with the lead early on, and Colorado came back to get the W with an amazing Cale Makar overtime goal. But I look at that, and Jason Robertson has just been on a tear. So for me, it's a point. Again, you're not going to get great odds on a point for J. Rob at this time because he's been on a heater for probably a month now. Excuse me, but I would probably put that into some kind of player parlay. I like him a lot in this game.
Aaron, what do you think about Seattle versus Chicago? Both teams are out of it. Bottom of the barrel here, just trying to finish up the season strong. We got DeCord versus Knight, the new addition for the Blackhawks. So far, he's been fairly solid in goal in the starts that he's got a chance. He's 4 starts. He's 2-2 with a 2.24 goals against and a .928 save percentage. So he's looked pretty solid so far. Is there anything you're taking in this game? Do you like anything at all, or is this one you're like, hey, I'm just going to watch it as a Hawks fan and I'm going to keep my money in my pocket?
Yeah, I'm not putting $1 on this because I don't know what direction to take the dollar. So 100%, this is a showcase game. So I want to see the show. I want Seattle pretty much a rebuild as well. Maybe they've got a couple guys coming up. I don't know. I haven't looked at their lineup yet. But for the Hawks, I've got Levshunov. He's line 1. He's matched up with Vlasic. How do those two guys?
That's awesome.
What do they look like together? Who's doing what? Who's getting? I think I'm looking at the power play now. They got him on power play 1.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's showcase time. We've already seen Slaggert a few games. I want to look at him. I want to see what the Donato, Nazar, Bedard line 1 right now, how that stands. Del Mastro. So yeah, I'm just excited as again, the angle of a Hawks fan. I'm hoping for, I'm not going to put any money on it. Like I said, I'm not going to touch it, but I want to see these guys. I want to see how they gel because I think this will be very close to the lineup we're going to get game 1, day 1 of the next season of the following season or the upcoming season. But more than that, I'm just hoping for the L. Let's get a loss. Let's let San Jose pass us up, and let's try to get that 1-1 pick. So, I'm fine losing 4-3 in this one. Watching the boys play, watching them skate together, but I don't want them to win. Let's just tank. Let's get that 1-1 pick, boys.
Yeah, Aaron, did you see the lineup tonight with the line of Donato, Nazar, and Bedard? But you notice,
yeah, line
Bedard's
1
on the wing. Bedard's on the wing. Nazar's in the center spot. And
oh no, I did not see that. I just read off the line. No, okay, well,
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, so let's see how that goes as well. And actually, Bedard played some wing last game as well. So this one again is going to be just what you said. Just if you're a Hawks fan, you're going to watch it. If you're a Seattle fan, you're going to watch it, and you're going to watch him for the future. I do like Spencer Knight tonight. I like him tonight. I like the Hawks tonight +130. If you're gonna, like, somebody said, hey, you're gonna bet this game, Hawks +130 at home on the money line, and hell, I mean, the Hawks, when they're actually in games, man, they love going overtime. So I think the draw would probably be a good look here as well. +300, somewhere around there. Jordan Eberle, 7 assists in his last 6 games. And again, Brandon Montour has been on a shot terror right now as a defenseman. Hawks give up the 3rd most shots in the league as well. So Brandon Montour, out of the 3 shots on goal, you can probably get him at plus money. That may be a good play as well.
Next game up, we got Utah Hockey Club. We call them the Yeti on this show against Edmonton.
Yes.
I told you I'm taking the over in this one, 6.5. I know it seems like a lot of points, but neither of these teams have been great in goal lately. Utah has been on a little bit of a tear here. They're 6-2-2 in the last 10. Edmonton 5-5 as they're having to score goals because they can't seem to get any stops. Vamelka versus Picard in this one. I just think there's going to be a lot of goals in this one. I just have a feeling that that's why I'm leaning that way. I got a little bit of plus money at that over 6.5. You might get that at right around even odds, or maybe minus 110 if you're at 6, depending on what site you're looking at. It's kind of been jumping around back and forth between 6 and 6.5. But it seems like these two teams, when they played each other lately, it's just been goals, and more goals. So I'm jumping on that tonight. We've got a couple guys, Draisaitl is in the mix for top goals scorer. At some point, you think Edmonds got to get a little of a run going here, going to the playoffs. They can't wait too long to get it going, can they, Toast?
They can't. And also, too, it's funny because I'm not saying that Utah is awful. They're not. They're 30, 26, and 11. They've been in so many games. They're a young team. They're actually talented. They're much improved. But in the past, these are games at home. Edmonton actually hosting Utah where Edmonton would just feast. Man, they would just feast. And McDavid would actually have 3 to 4 points. And you're just not seeing that. You're not seeing it. We talked about it a couple podcasts ago. Not saying McDavid's playing bad. He's not. You're just not seeing him do what he normally does. I do wonder. You end up coming out at the end of the season this year when it's all said and done, and it wouldn't shock me in the least. End up saying, you know what, I was playing banged up all year. And I have nothing to prove that on. I don't watch him close enough to actually know whether or not he's skating lame or anything like that. But he's just not putting up the numbers we're accustomed to putting up, and he's still putting up amazing numbers. So it'll be interesting to see in the offseason, see would there be something that he actually gets cleaned up. We actually, have a little procedure done and end up announcing, I was actually playing banged up all year, because you're not going to hear about that now. But definitely the over on this one right here. And I like Dylan Guenther. Gunther's been really, really good of late. Shooting the puck more than anybody in the league over the last 5-6 games as well. So I like Dylan Guenther for an anytime goal. You can find it close to plus 200, especially if you go over to FanDuel. I think they got it at plus 205 right now.
Yeah, so you could throw Guenther, Draisaitl in an anytime goal together and take an over in this game. Get yourself a nice little pot there. Draisaitl right now leading the league in goals scored, 49. Next closest guy is William Nylander at 38. So he's been on an absolute tear points wise. Draisaitl's right behind Nathan McKinnon right now. McKinnon 103, Draisaitl 101. So like you said, McDavid hasn't been, the usual McDavid. He's still 4th in the league in scoring with 86 points. So, but Draisaitl's just been an absolute beast. And it seems like he knows that McDavid's hurting a little bit or something's going on there. And Draisaitl is just absolutely taking over for this Edmonton and kind of trying to will them away. Here's the thing: this is a big game. I mean, if you look at the playoffs matchups right now, Edmonton right now is only 1 point up on the Kings for second place in the Pacific. And then if you look at the wild card right now, Utah 2 points out of the last wild card spot. They're currently tied with Calgary at 71 points. St. Louis and Vancouver have 73 each. So they're a win away. So I think you're going to see all of these teams kind of go at it. I like I said earlier in my JT parlay play of the day, I like the over total in this, and depending on kind of what's happening in this, I kind of like the Guenther, Draisaitl anytime goal or points if you want to jump them on points and the over goals in a same game parlay. I think I've actually got a boost 25% or 30% boost token sitting in one of those accounts for a same game parlay tonight. So I might get that a little action here later on as well, as that's one of the late games.
Yeah, I like all those. You're talking, those are the two snipers on those teams, Guenther and Draisaitl. Those are the guys who are going to put it. They're shooting it more than the rest of the team. They're getting it done. And these goalies suck. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Love it.
Last game of the evening, Winnipeg Jets still dominating 47, 17, and 4 on the year at Vancouver, 31, 25, and 11. Like I said a couple times already, Vancouver fighting for that final playoff spot. The Jets currently holding the number 1 seed in the West. This one's an interesting one. I'm on Winnipeg to win this one outright on the road. They've won 6 out of the last 7 against Vancouver. Anything else we like in this game? Like I said, I've got the Jets money line. Anything else jumping out to you guys as far as possible bets in this game?
If you had to, Philip Roenick, 7 assists in his last 7 games. He gets power play 2. You'd think he wouldn't get a whole lot of power play time, but I actually went back and looked, and over the past 6 games, he's averaging just over 2 minutes of power play time a game. So Winnipeg is definitely much better than Vancouver. Vancouver, talk about, I mean, they have some big time players with Hughes and with Besser, and also with the stupid center Pedersen that nobody likes. But they're just no good, man. And you feel like they're going nowhere, and that team cohesion is just not where it actually needs to be. So I definitely like Winnipeg. I was just looking at the standings, JT, just wanting to see as far as Winnipeg goes. They got a 98. They're at 98 points right now. Yeah, they're sitting pretty right now. So honestly, I don't really see. Yeah, that mattered to me. If Dallas was like right behind them or Vegas was right behind them, you're like, okay, they're definitely going to put the hammer down. I'm not going to say they're not going to play hard. I'm just saying I just want to see where they're at. But and Vancouver, they are. It looks like as far as Vancouver goes, just looking at this right now, they're clinging onto that last playoff spot. So it means a lot more to them. But I'm not betting this game. I'm not betting this game at all. You can't get.
I'm taking Winnipeg just because I like Hellebuck. Yeah, no, I think Hellebuck is just my guy. I need him for fantasy wise this week. So I'm hoping for a win there. I also think the Jets are going to kind of just keep it going a little bit here because I think if they can just absolutely lock this in, then they can really rest their guys going into the playoffs. And they're close. You know, right now in the West, like you said, Toast, they're sitting at 98 points. The next closest team to them in the West right now is 87 from Dallas, who's in the Central with them. So they're behind them. And then you got Vegas at 86 in the Pacific. So, you know, right there, I think this is a team that doesn't want to let down. I think they're going to keep going strong here. And if they can give those guys a nice little break the last week of the season and really have that first seed locked in, I think you're going to see them kind of try to pound some of these teams here at the end and then get that last week of rest and get everybody healthy. That's going to do it for us on our Around the Ice segment here. To kind of finish things up tonight, we're going to talk about some possible guys you can pick up off the waiver wire for your fantasy hockey playoffs. Hopefully you listen to the show all year and you made the playoffs. So let's do a little bit of that fantasy hockey.
Hey, as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
So, Aaron, in this segment, you kind of researched some guys, looked at some places. Injuries, you know, are starting to stack up for some people. Playoffs are here. Who are some guys out there that might be able to, if you are a team that has 1 or 2 guys out with injury this week, you're looking to get a couple extra plays to kind of get you over the edge, over the hump here in the first round of the playoffs. What are some guys sitting out there that you might be able to scoop up in your league?
I got 4 guys. All 4 of these guys we've talked about at some point during the course of the year. Again, our format for the listeners, if you haven't heard, or if just a reminder, we're in a banger league. So we get points for PIMs, we get points for hits, we get points for block shots. So that's just to define the terms here. But yeah, there's 4 guys I'm looking at now. My criteria was 30% on a team or less. So in other words, 70% of all of the every single team in Fantrax, they're available in 70% of all leagues. So whether you're in a redraft league, dynasty league, doesn't matter. These guys should be available. When you're in the playoffs, like we're into our second round now in our home league. You're just looking for a win. You're looking for a win. You can mortgage your future if you want. I mean, I might be a little extreme, but if you're just looking for a win, and a win is a guy getting about 3 or 3.5 points a game, whether he's showing up on a score sheet and getting it through goals and assists, a more standardized way, or he's just racking up those hits, those fights, those block shots, whatever it is. But that's what you're looking for. So with that criteria, the 4 guys jumping out. It's one of the guys that had a heavy influence on my prediction for the Stanley Cup. God, the Leafs, they look terrible. They're not going to get out of the first round, and I got to pull for them. But Scott Laughton, he has looked not great, but he has injected himself in the game. Now he's getting 4th line minutes, so he's not getting many minutes. Hasn't had I don't think he's had a point since he's been over on the Leafs, but what he is doing is hitting. Like I mentioned, he's getting himself in the game. I think he had a fight the other night, but Leafs dummied the Flames here over the weekend, or was it last night? I can't remember. Anyway, they absolutely destroyed him. So Scott Laughton, he's only owned in 20% of the league. So 80% of the leagues out there on Fantrax, he's going to be available. Again, at some point he's going to put a point on, or maybe they replace him. They put Domi on the 4th line, put Laughton up. I mean, Domi's like a Swiss Army knife. He can go anywhere in the lineup. So, somebody like you mentioned, JT, some of these guys are getting hurt. Maybe you want to rest them. If you're the Leafs, you got the pretty much playoffs locked down. This guy can move up and down on those lines. So yes, he's 4th line now, but he could move up. So Scott Laughton is number 1. Second one's Jack McBain. Again, just a classic banger type of guy. I think he's at 13 or 14 goals. He's not going to get a whole lot of goals for you. But what he is going to do is get a lot of hits, and he certainly picks those up. He's a 3rd line center, line mates with Josh Doan. I'd say at this point an underwhelming rookie season. He started off last year with a bang. He hasn't really done a whole lot. And then Logan Krause on that 3rd line in Utah, one of the teams that we had mentioned before, but 232 hits on the year. So dude's going to go out there and pick you up 5-6 hits a game. He'll show up on a score sheet. And like you guys said before, Utah's still playing for something. They're within spitting distance of a playoff spot. They, big test tonight, but this guy's showed up all game or all year. Next guy, JT, it's one of your guys, Paul Cotter. You got on him. He's only owned in 26% of the leagues. Again, just your thug, your big body guy. He's just out there banging. Once again, back-to-back years, New Jersey's been killed by the injury bug. Cotter's out there, though, playing that 3rd line center, sitting at the cusp of 15 goals. He's got 14, so, one more tuck away and he gets his 15. But again, it's a guy that's at that plus 200 hits on right now. Technically, he's at 215, but he's getting it done all week. And again, we've kind of pumped his tires in earlier episodes when we talked about bangers. Last guy's in Calgary, Martin Pospisil. I don't know. I struggle with his name.
Popsicle.
Poopsicle. Martin Poopsicle. He's a lot of people have picked up on him. Now, I thought he had more points. I was shocked. He's only got 22 points. He's on a line 1 right now. Line 1. It shows you, Calgary, when they win, they got to really scratch these games out. But he's line 1. He's 22 points. And he's on the line 1 power play. So, but again, 242 hits. The dude goes out there and he's going to kill you. So, pick up Martin Poopsicle because he's out there and available about 70% of the league. So, another guy again, all you're looking for is to scrape out a win. It doesn't matter how you get there. If your playoffs have already started, you're a game away from the semis, or maybe even a game away, or a round away from the finals. If you're just kicking off this week, a lot of leagues are just kicking off this week. Just getting out of that first round sometimes can be the most difficult round, and then see what happens. But these guys are all scrappers, all bangers, and most of the leagues now, if you go and you check those free agents, they'll be out there.
Yeah, Toast, having that first round bye is a big one, right? Your team didn't quite have a great first week or two in our league, but you got lucky because you were on the bye and you snuck into the semis because of it. That's why those bye weeks are so huge, right?
Well, and let me tell you what actually happened on the bye, guy. Can I cry for a second before we actually end this podcast? Is that okay? I mean, I'm 15-4 on the season. I led the league. I got the first round bye into the semis, and I'm crying. And here's the reason why. Here's my IR. all happened within the last 3 weeks. All of them, almost, except one. Jack Hughes, out for the year. Yuri Kulich, concussion protocol. Brad Marchand, week to week. Tyler Seguin been out for a while. Caden Goulet been out for a while. Neil Pionk, week to week. Thatcher Demko, week to week. Oh, Connor Garland now, game time decision tonight. Oh, let's go and throw in Josh Norris now, concussion, day to day. Hey, I actually had been injured all year, and then we actually get to the semis, and my whole freaking team's hurt. So I've had to pick up guys like Cody Glass, got him out there as a replacement. You like that? Jonathan Druin, who doesn't hit or block or do shit. Yanni Gord, I picked him up. Ryan McQuaid, I screwed around and got like 7 guys from Buffalo on my team. Yeah, guys. Hey, I picked up Trevor Moore too. I mean, he's dangerous. So, it's going great. It's just going freaking great right now.
I just missed the playoffs on the last day of the season, on the last day in a tiebreaker on points. I actually won in the first round of the toilet bowl. I'm now in the championship, but because I tried to get into the playoffs, I spent all the rest of my free agent fab money. I can't make any more pickups, so I'm just stuck. Like totally stuck. And I'm hoping and praying no one gets hurt. So I'm fighting our buddy John McGlynn for the toilet bowl championship in that 1-1 pick, baby. I want that 1-1 pick. So we're battling out. Aaron, the only good thing about it for me is I just missed the playoffs, but I would have got smoked in the first round of the playoffs if I made it, even though my team played well. The 2 teams that just slid in ahead of me both had monster weeks, as we in our league do 2-week playoffs. So if anybody's asking, like, why are you guys always already in the semis? We do our playoffs 2 weeks at a time. So we start ours just a hair earlier than people that do a 1-week playoff. Me and Toast are in another league where our playoffs just started because it's a 1-week playoffs in that salary cap league. But you're in it too. Titch, you're in there too, baby. You're battling out. You guys are both gonna try to do it for us here on Around the Ice and make the championship game. I'm the one that's holding us down, missing the playoffs. But if I can win the 1-1 and you guys can make the finals, I'll feel like we did okay.
Yeah, we get our credibility restored. So go team.
Yeah, Aaron, it's pretty awesome if you and I could actually face off in the finals and actually have an Around the Ice finals. How about that? You know what? We'll have to dedicate a show to that and just really maybe just talk about our head-to-head matchup a little bit. I like that.
Yeah, chirp half the time and
yeah. Like your team sucks and yeah. If you would have drafted a little bit better, you would have a little bit more depth and you wouldn't have to deal with all these injuries. But yeah, I've already told my guys too. I mean, they're acting like a bunch of pansies right now when it actually it matters the most. What I got to do? Flip over a freaking table in a locker room?
Nice. Yeah, Toast, you got to come at them hard. You got to get these guys back on track.
Right.
Any final thoughts for either of you guys before we call it night and we get on and watch some hockey here? We all good? Good luck to the semifinals for both you guys. Hopefully, I take out John McGlynn for the 1-1 here. I just need my team to get it together for just a little bit longer. Would love to see that. I almost traded that first-round pick to John McGlynn as well in a deal right before the playoffs. And I last second, I didn't make the move because I was like, what if I miss the playoffs and I have a shot at the 1-1 and I traded it away? So I'm kind of glad I didn't trade away my number 1 pick this year earlier. So that one, I kind of lucked out on that. But hopefully everybody else is doing well in the playoffs. Got any questions, feel free to hit any of us up. I'm at JT Orange, Toast at Toast Clark, Aaron at Titch4141. Hit us up, any of those things. We'll keep throwing out our Toast takes and our JT parlays plays of the day. Hopefully get a little bit of a heater here before we get going. And then coming up in the next couple of weeks here, we'll have our playoff show where we're going to be talking about, the real NHL playoffs, what's going to go and what teams we're jumping on and who we like to kind of finish things out. Jamie jumping on, I said, good luck with your bets and in your leagues. Absolutely, Jamie. Good luck to everybody out there. Hopefully you're getting a win this week and moving on in your playoffs. That's going to do it for us here on Around the Ice on Fantasy in Frames. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back. Plan is Monday next week, but we'll let you know. Hopefully Monday next week, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central Time. But be on the lookout. Like and follow us in case those things change. it's a little bit of crazy times for us and personally with some things right now. So sometimes these shows get moved. So everybody, thanks for joining us here on an early Tuesday show. Make sure to check out the ladies live drafting on Fantasy and Frames later tonight. So make sure to check that out. And if you're watching college basketball, go Aztecs tonight. Beat the Tar Heels. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Around the Ice.